I'm PC Scott Schofield, University Neighbourhood Officer, and I'd like to welcome you to Manchester. You've chosen an absolutely fantastic place to study, but like anywhere else across the UK, crime does exist. We put this short film together to give you some guidance as to how you can keep yourself and your valuables safe while you're here in Manchester.
On the morning of my final exam, two people broke into my house through an unsecured window and they stole both of my laptops. They climbed in, they climbed over the back wall and up into the property and then let themselves out through the back door. People were in the property at the time, which is the worst thing. I can't describe how truly awful that experience was, knowing that there was someone there. It was horrible. I felt very violated. I lost 3 years worth of work, photos, memories, which is much more valuable to me than the laptop itself. During my first year, we were presented with a student safety DVD and a talk from the police. But in your first year, it's quite easy to ignore, it's quite easy to just forget about it and just concentrate on having a good time. But this can happen to anyone, so it's important to listen to what they have to say and the points they have to make. I'd especially take on their advice about minimising the risks, like removing property letting signs and locking your door when you leave the house. Even if you've got a key to your room and you keep your valuables in your room, lock your door, close your window before you leave the house.
It was about 9:30 at night and I was walking back from uni. 3 guys ran up to me, one of them grabbed me from behind. Another walked right in front of me and said, "Give us what you got." I said I didn't have anything, so the one who grabbed hold of me threw me on the floor. He started kicking and punching me. I just had my hands kind of behind my head. In the end I said, all right, my phone's in my right pocket. They reached in, they took it out and went on their way. I feel very anxious now about walking around, especially when I'm on my own or after dark. Also because my phone was stolen, I just feel like it was a real inconvenience. I lost all my numbers. We didn't have internet set up in the house yet, so it was really difficult to get into contact with anyone, and obviously angry as well that I've been attacked. My advice would be to try and avoid walking home alone if you can, especially after dark. If you really can't get someone to walk home with, you could always get a taxi back. And also pay attention to where I'm going, what's going on around me. Those guys came straight behind me. I could have heard them coming if I'd been paying attention. Also avoid any alleys or anything like that, any kind of poorly lit areas.
The Student Safe Zone is a scheme set up by the unions in Manchester in conjunction with the police. And it came off the back of the large volume of students in Manchester saying that they felt vulnerable and threatened when in the night, on nights out, on the way home. And a number of local businesses are on board, and it means that if a student is feeling vulnerable and threatened on a night out, they can go into one of these premises, identifiable by a sticker in the window which clearly states Student Safe Zone, and they can wait for the problem to pass, call the police, call a taxi, call a friend, or just have a glass of water and just take some time out from their walk home. The Student Safe Zones run from at the top of Oxford Road all the way to Withington. Various premises are involved, such as food outlets like Domino's Pizza and McDonald's, and also nightclubs such as Footage and also Crowbar opposite here. Well, once a student enters the safe zone, they can alert them one of a member of staff that work there. They've all been trained. The benefits of the scheme are just to kind of ease students when they're on the way home from a night out, on the way to a night out, just to make them feel safer in the community that they live in.
I went into uni one day and left my bike parked up, locked it with my rubbish lock, and came back. I left it a couple of days in an unlit area, and I came back and it had gone. As a student in Manchester, I use my bike for pretty much everything I do in terms of getting around. You can use the bus, but bike is free. So having my bike stolen was actually a disaster because it meant I have to walk or pay for transport and stuff. So this is the type of lock that I had. Mine was actually even worse than this. It was sort of a really rusty bike chain covered in a really thin bit of plastic with a code on it that I probably didn't even bother changing that often. And yeah, it was obvious that is the kind of thing that's really easy to cut through. and this is the one that they advise students to get these days, just a massive D-lock, just because it's so much safer, because the metal inside it is really difficult to cut through. If you're going to have a bike, this is probably the one to use, because these just get cut through really easily.
I was in college practicing with an exam coming up, and I walked in through a secure area and there was a door propped open with a chair, and I didn't notice it because it's something that happens quite a lot and you don't really notice it. However, it meant that while I was practicing in my room, a man managed to get into the secure area of the building, and he came into my practice room. I had my laptop on the other side of the room and I was practicing. He came in, he was quite threatening towards me, so I left, but I left without my laptop and he stole it. I used my laptop for my study at university. I used it for my own personal things as well, and when it was stolen, it had quite a lot of different things happen. I lost a lot of my university work with deadlines approaching. It was quite stressful. I also lost a lot of personal photographs and things and music, which is quite important because I'm a music student. And it makes you feel quite vulnerable. I think sometimes when you go to university, you think of the kind of high-profile crimes being the only ones that you really notice, but actually when it happens to you, even if it's a low-profile crime, it's quite intimidating and you feel quite vulnerable for quite a while. Even if you think it's somewhere where you feel secure and safe, always keep your valuables close to hand and keep your eye on them. I'd also say if there's supposed to be a locked door, don't prop it open or don't accept it being propped open. Always check it's locked, because they're secure for a reason, and it's so that people walking in off the street can't come in and steal your valuables.
Students have a fantastic impact on the city. The majority of students that come to the city fit in well and have a really positive impact. Unfortunately, a minority of students do create a level of antisocial behaviour that impacts on the community around them. So when we say antisocial behaviour, we mean noise nuisance, things like coming home after a night out on your way home, being loud, shouting in the street, knocking things over, or having a party in your flat or your house. These things can have a real impact on the people around them. And we can't forget that student halls are very often based in the middle of a community. So there's people living there with families, older people, people that are working shifts. So we just ask that people do bear that into consideration. And when you're coming home from a night out, just keep it down, because the chances are you're passing by someone who needs to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. The universities take antisocial behaviour very seriously. We obviously want to have a positive impact on the communities around us, and we expect our students to be a positive ambassador for the university and to respect communities that they're passing through and they're living in. If we got to the situation where there was a persistent problem and students were unfortunately really affecting the community around them, there are further repercussions. But obviously we don't want to get that far. We want to make sure that students are aware from the beginning so that we don't have to go down that route.
I really like the Facebook group. I find it really informative and quick to find all the information that you need to know. I had my phone stolen last year and it was quite useful to see the areas in which the crimes happened and other people that it's happened to. And I quite like reading it just to know what's going on in the area. I think it's really informative. And it doesn't take any time to go onto the site, as it just comes straight up on your newsfeed on Facebook, and it clears up any rumours that you hear of horrific stories that happen around Manchester. It's good just to know the real facts and the truth behind stories. There was one recently that I heard about, a bike, a £3,000 bike that went missing, and I think that you posted lots of pictures and it went viral on Facebook. So the man actually got reunited with his bike in the end, which is a really nice end to the story, because usually crime doesn't always end so nicely.